Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Trey, and I want to talk about WandaVision again because you guys, I am right about the bull crap that WandaVision pulled. Like the showrunner, Jack Shafier, whatever her damn name is. See, this is another thing. This is my problem. You're getting weirdos that don't know anything about the comic books at all. And running, they're running these comic book shows just so they can get a quick ticket to Hollywood or whatever. Like, this is the nonsense that I'm talking about. The Jack Shafier said that she never even heard of Mephisto before doing anything related to WandaVision. But you brought in the twins. This is the same woman who was the writer for Black Widow, who said that she doesn't care about canon of comic books and she's not trying to look at it because that's a lot of work. Why are we hiring people that are too lazy to do the simplest research? You used to have to be competent with your job. Nowadays, you just get the job because, oh, I'm a woman, or I'm a diverse person, or because I said so, or I will complain on the internet in order for you to give me a job. Because this is what that sounds like. Billy and Tommy has literally ties to Mephisto's. You set up Easter eggs and all that kind of stuff in this show, and you mean tell me you didn't know what was going on? She had no idea about Mephisto when you can easily type in Wanda's children and it gives you a brief history. That is the problem that I'm saying. Matter of fact, if any of you guys watch Batman Dying is Easy, you see this fan film does a better job than most comic book movies and shows today, because you know why? They actually care about the lore. They care about the characters. They're not trying to push a political nonsense message when it comes in with these characters. They really care about Batman. They really care about the Joker. They care about these characters, and they do their research to make sure that they act like the characters. Not this new crap where they go and retcon and try to change things or just completely ignore lore and history. That is another problem with Western people, is that they're so lazy and they don't want to put the time and effort into the work. Somebody had to write this stuff. It's history's decades upon decades of work. It's not that convoluted if you sit down and read. And on top of that, you work for Marvel. Marvel has a collection. And I know they have a collection where they actually manually have a character, have their histories, and have books on them, where you could have went to their library or their research development team or whatever and asked the person, hey, I need to know everything about WandaVision, their kids, and any villains that affects them or whatever. And bam, there you go. And they would have gave you the stuff. Or you could have had a person that you could have consulted to work on WandaVision, so they could be like, hey, you might want to add this character in there because this works. It's garbage. And that's why people are more upset at the ending of WandaVision, because WandaVision did all this buildup to leave behind nothing. It didn't leave nothing. Oh, but it set up movies. Nobody cares. You're a TV show that should have not just only set up a movie, you should have had a definite ending for your show. I've seen shows that goes into a movie, but at least there's a major consequences of action, or there's a major consequences of characters. You don't have any of that. White Vision flies off. Agatha Harkness is the villain that, shocker, everybody knew as soon as they saw her. Because you guys were so stupid to try to keep her identity a secret. Everybody that read comic books were like, oh, that's Agatha. Like, I don't understand the whole nonsense with the Ralph Boner. You literally wasted that kind of potential. Wanda has manipulating warp abilities. Not only chaos magic, she can warp things around her with not only her chaos magic, but with her hex powers because of her probability, which I don't understand why they did this. Then you you intentionally said people's, describe people that were coming onto the show just for them not to come on there. And don't even get me started with, like, you had Monica say, "Oh, I know somebody," and you didn't pay that off. You didn't pay off some of the stuff that you were setting up because you were so busy trying to set up Captain Marvel 2, Doctor Strange and Multiverse, and Ant-Man Quantum. Like, that's fine, but you still need to pay that stuff off. You can't wait for a movie, because if that's the case, what is the point of watching your show when we could have just got that in movies and they could have just been like, "Oh, where you get your powers from? Oh, Wanda had a mental breakdown. I went through the little force field bubble, helped her defeat a evil witch, and now I have superpowers." Who knew? You know what I'm saying? You could have easily did that without us having to go through an entire show that literally kind of was a waste of time. I don't care what nobody said. It was a waste of time. The ending was basically like Game of Thrones season 8, where you just kind of like, "Oh, okay." And then basically the woman says that there was never any conscious intent on my part to create any Mephisto's red herring, because I didn't know who Mephisto was until I was doing press. Why did we talk about the devil so much? That's a real a real coincidence. He wasn't even part of our storytelling conversations. We were very clear that the big bad is grief, and then the external bad is Agatha. So the viewers and a lover of the show and characters didn't want anything more than that. You a whole damn lie. You a whole damn lie. That means you don't know your audience. You don't know viewers. You don't know anything about comic book fans neither. And that should be something that people need to know about. You can't just write whatever you think people want. You need to do some research, and there has to be some responsibility on not only you, the show writer, but Marvel, Kevin Feige as well, because you let this bull crap go, and now people are, torn in between, and people are rightfully upset about this bull crap nonsense that you did with WandaVision. It ain't got nothing to do with the actors. It ain't got nothing to do with that she's a woman, but it does show that the fact that she has no skills, she's incompetent, and you wasted these actors' time, and you wasted a lot of fans' time. And I don't want to hear about people talking about, "Oh, people, you shouldn't have theorized," or whatever and stuff like that. Are you kidding me? When you leave Easter eggs galore, are you kidding me? You guys been doing this since Iron Man 2008. It's 2021. You can't just change up the formula all of a sudden and expect your fan base to be like, "Yep." No, they're going to be upset, and rightfully so, because you literally wasted the potential that you had. You had the potential for cameos. You should have did more cameos. And don't give me that, "Oh, COVID crap." Don't give me that, "Oh, COVID crap." I'm not trying to hear COVID crap. I feel like that's a little cop-out that y'all use when nonsense happen. I understand there are some rules and regulations and stuff like that, but you could have easily, just like you got Evan Peters, you could have easily got anybody to play you could have got Michael Fassbender or Sir Ian McKellen to play Magneto and as a reveal, or you could have hired a secret actor that nobody knew about, and then you have him in a green screen or something like that, and then reveal to the actors when they're on set filming that this is Mephisto. You know what I'm saying? You could have did something like that, but to do this whole thing with Agatha was just stupid. It was not well worth anything. I don't understand. You guys wasted time, and that's the thing that bothers me the most, is you wasted all the potential of disappointments. It wasn't funny in Iron Man 2. It wasn't funny in Captain Marvel, and it's not funny here. It's just been another disappointment, and trying to justify it, which the media is, and some MCU fanboys are trying to defend and be like, "Oh, it was a story about Wanda." The show is called WandaVision. So not only is it about Wanda, it's also about Vision. And we barely focused on Vision, even though he was top billing in the darn show. We barely focused on Vision, his grief, how he feels about things. Because Paul Bettany wanted to surprise us with, "Oh, the surprise cameo was me as White Vision." Yes, because people could have seen that a mile a minute. It just makes no kind of sense. It makes no kind of sense. And then not only that, we get to WandaVision showrunner reveals that the original and very different plan for Agatha Harkness. So basically, Agatha wasn't even supposed to be a villain. She was supposed to be a mentor figure. You mean how she was in the comic books, dumb dumb? But you lazily didn't even do that. You literally made people think that Agatha is this horrible person, and she's not. She's Wanda's mentor. She's the person that teaches Wanda all of this magic stuff because she realized that Wanda had magic potential and she wanted Wanda to learn it. So, because her powers were getting out of control, but Wanda didn't know anything about it until Agatha showed her that it's because you have magic and you need to learn how to use it. Basically she said that Agatha was going to actually be a mentor figure, and then when they were discussing everything, although she doesn't specifically know who those characters are, they eventually everyone came around to Agatha, and the character comes right out of Marvel Comics. But the comic book version is very much different from the version played so memorably by Catherine Hahn. According to Schaefer, early stages, Agatha was more of a mentor figure than an adversary. In early stages, she functioned more of a mentor, and then we got into the room, and then it started really legitimately breaking down the episodes, and it became clear that they have more of a proper antagonist would serve structure really well. So she increasingly moved in that direction. So you mean tell me, instead of using Mephisto, who was an actual adversary to not only Wanda but Agatha, you went with Agatha? For why? For what reason? And basically she said, I don't know about you guys, but I really wish we could have gone with the Wanda and Agatha walking off into the sunset together ending. That's the show I wanted to see. Wait. So you wanted to see Agatha and Wanda walk out into the sunset together after what? The nonsense that Wanda did with her powers? She'd be lucky if she get a slap on the hand, but I forgot. She's a woman. She can't be punished hardly. Because that was... Oh, okay. Wow. And so basically it comes down to they're both light and dark. It's all spectrum. I don't know. I feel like it comes down to the intention. All things that Agatha said, she's speaking truth. She's telling Wanda what she needs to hear. But Agatha's agenda is ultimately pretty much selfish. The Agatha mentor idea was actually part of the comic book's characters, as the Marvel Wiki explains. That's what she says. Agatha went on to other mystics in numbers of crisis. She trained Wanda, furthering use of her powers, claiming that her mutant ability was the ability to use chaos magic and help fully resurrect the Avenger Wonder Man. You couldn't even bring in Wonder Man. But you see what I'm saying? This writer clearly could wiki that, but you couldn't wiki Mephisto? You couldn't put Mephisto in this series. You couldn't give a magical character. You couldn't give a magical villain and put into that. That would have made more sense. But no. And it's just nothing but excuses after excuses. Like, so look, basically the director, the director is pushed back against the complaints of the finale, trying to excuse Wanda's evil actions. You see what I'm saying? They're trying to excuse the criticism that we're having towards WandaVision. It's like, take your loss, go and put your big boy pants on and own your shit. The shit was terrible. You can't get mad that majority people didn't like it. Not only are we talking about average fan, not only are we talking about comic book fans didn't like the ending, we're talking about some MCU fans, and we're talking about average fans were complaining about this finale. And people trying to justify it is stupid. No, don't justify it. Let them lay in their shit and let them own it. Let them own it. Because now you have what one of the biggest complaints made about WandaVision series finale was the fake out casting of Evan Peters, um, and that Scarlet Witch was left off the hook after tormenting the citizens of New Jersey. While Wanda may not have known to the extent of which her sitcom spell disrupted the lives of people in Westview, Wanda's negligence in holding Westview popular hostage rubbed a lot of fans the wrong way. Yes, of course it was going to rub us the wrong way. I don't know what person you thought wasn't going to be affected by that. At least with House of M and Avengers Disassemble, they didn't let her off the hook or anything and stuff like that. The only reason why she kind of got away is because her father swept in and got her away from everybody. And who was going to be able to stop him? If you were going to let Wanda off the hook, you should have had a character that really cared about Wanda and was like, no, you're not going to take my daughter away from me. I mean, you're not going to take Wanda away, and had that character fly off with Wanda. You could have had White Vision, you could have had Magneto, you could have had Wonder Man, or you could have had Mephisto, or you could have had Doctor Strange. At least that way you could justify it wasn't Wanda leaving, it was something outside of her forces that stopped her. I mean, that she didn't have any control of, but because she had an outside force taking her away from the situation, she doesn't have that ramification, but it's still a ramification there. You get what I'm saying? That's how you tell a good storyline. So basically, Wanda is clearly capable of great evil, but the series didn't hold her accountable for too long. In the post-finale interview with Rolling Stone, the director Matt Shakeman pushed back against claims the finale condoned villainous action. I don't think we were letting Wanda off the hook. She realized in the final episode what she'd done. She brought to a moment by Agatha. Are you a hero? Are you a villain? Heroes don't torture people. And she tries to let them go in a moment, but realize that she's fully not able to say goodbye to her family. So the crisis in the middle of the episode is important. She ultimately moved forward towards accepting the loss of Vision and her family. The family that she magically created. Why these people are real. These people are real more so than her family. So there was no choice. There should have been no choice, no thought. Just like when Captain America sacrificed himself in the first Avengers, there should not been no thought. The same thing with Iron Man when he took that missile at the end of Avengers. There should have not been no thought, no hesitation. And you made her be like, oh, my family, no, I can't let them go. Come on now, that don't make no sense. That don't make no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. He continues, the show was always about grief and how we came back from loss. So it wasn't always had to end with her accepting loss, but also accepting the new mantle of Scarlet Witch and what that means. But that final scene, she comes into town and her walk of shame as she walks through the town and feel daggers begin to stare at her meant the incident of her. She's a pariah. She's not being forgiven by them. The conversation with Monica about the two who have bonded over grief and lost understanding the motives behind it. It doesn't excuse it, and Wanda acknowledges she flies away from this town knowing they wouldn't really welcome her back. But Monica kind of did justify it by saying that these people will never know what you sacrificed for them. She didn't sacrifice anything for them. She controlled this town, tortured these peoples without their permission. There is nothing to come back from, even with grief. And you didn't even really get into Monica's grief, so don't even give me that nonsense. But that's the thing that I'm talking about with these people. They don't have any clue about these comic book characters. And they write bullcrap and get mad when fans call them out on their bullcrap. Or comic book fans are like, what are you guys doing to my characters? Because these are characters that a lot of people grew up with, read about, are fan favorites. And that's why I keep trying to tell people, when you enter a fandom, you don't just get, you don't just get the good. You get the good, the bad, and the ugly. You get all of it when it comes to fandoms. When you're entering a fandom and you're in charge of doing something with that fandom, you have to understand there are people that were fans of this way before you entered, and they're going to expect more from you. You can't just do whatever you want and then expect people to be okay with that. That's not how this works. And I'm tired of people trying to justify it, and I'm tired of people trying to excuse it as well. No, we need to hold Marvel, DC, whoever, all of these comic book entertainment, all of that nonsense, we need to hold them accountable. And it's so funny, we can hold DC way more accountable for their nonsense, but when it comes to Marvel, because they had leeway of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's now, oh no, Marvel can never do anything wrong. Oh, you guys are just being babies. You guys are just not, you guys are being selfish. You guys should be grateful that we're getting anything at all. Who the hell are you to tell me that? Who are you to defend that? Are they paying you? Are they paying you? Because I can remember, I was paying for the service to watch the darn show, and it wasn't worth paying for. So yes, I do have a problem with that. It's a product that I had a problem with, that I paid for, that I shouldn't have paid for. I'm glad I binge watched it, because if I was watching it episode to episode, I would have been even more pissed off. But don't tell somebody how they have to feel about something that a company does. The company is to make entertainment stuff for us, not because of what they want, what they feel like we should have. That's not how none of this works. We're our customers. They are the people that are supposed to entertain us. Their job is to give me something entertaining that was worth paying for. If it's not worth paying for, and I complain about it, and I have issues about it, you take that criticism and you learn from it, and you do better by it. You don't come up with 500 million excuses, and you don't blame your customer base, and you don't blame your fan base for not liking your decisions. You made those decisions, lie in your shit, own your shit, but don't try to blame the fans for not liking it. Because again, especially if this was a DC thing, and the way we were complaining about DC and stuff like that, DC still took it. There might be a few people outside of DC that might, defend it or whatever, but they own their shit. Just like if we're allowed to criticize DC so hard about their stuff, we should be allowed to criticize Marvel hard on their stuff too. It's not a if, and, or buts about it. This is just how life is. But stop trying to sugarcoat everything. Stop trying to ignore the criticism that you get, and stop trying to blame the fans. Because if it wasn't for the fans, you wouldn't have a job. If the fans weren't buying these books in the first place, that looked at good mining IP for them to make movies and shows about, you wouldn't be in your position. So never forget that. Be humble about it. But don't sit up there and try to come up with 500 excuses. Own your shit. Own the fact that you guys didn't know anything about these characters, and that's okay. You didn't know anything about it. We know you didn't know anything about it. But don't keep trying to make excuses for it. That's all I'm saying. Because that is the crap that aggravates fans, is the fact that there are people who are qualified to write these characters, that to work on them, who knows the lore inside and out, that never gets a chance, and then they give people who don't care about this IP, who don't care about this fandom, and it gives them the reins of everything, and then we have to suffer with bull crap. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.